Crown Pub in the London Borough of Lewisham is the unlikely venue for a unique educational initiative. A group of local fathers have been meeting over the last few months to explore ways of getting actively involved in their children's lives and learning.
Britain's children don't want expensive holidays, computers or bikes from their dads, but they want shared time playing football, chatting at bedtime, being helped with homework, attending the mosque, going shopping. Quite small things, maybe quite surprising to us. That's the verdict of more than 2,000 primary-aged children who have offered their views on what they'd like from a day with Dad.
Dad's Matter came about because when I came here as head 2 years ago, I had a big problem with boys' behaviour. And a lot of the research that I was looking into at the time was saying that, you know, boys need a father's influence, in particular. Not just boys, girls as well, but it is more impacting on boys and their behaviour. And we certainly had 14 or 15 boys here who had no male role model at home, and they were at risk of exclusion.
Good evening. We've got an agenda, so we'll pass those round. We were running several family learning courses at Coopers Lane School. We're getting good numbers of people that were wanting to come in and find out how the school worked, how they could best work with their children and engage in their lives. However, it was mostly mums that we were getting through the door, and so we did feel that we needed to positively target dads. Grant!
Hello. My missus, Elaine, she said, oh, they're going to start up a dad's group. So I was a little bit, I wasn't like sceptical or anything of it, but I just thought, oh, I don't know whether I should go along or not, but I just had my arm twisted, so to speak, and went along and found it quite interesting.
We're doing the things with our own children.
Steve Davies, the head teacher, sent a letter out, I think, to quite a few dads that he thought might well attend the group. I read the letter and I thought it would be something that would be very good for me to attend, something I'd be very interested in attending as well.
The homework from last month was, we called it Kids in the Kitchen, and it was about engaging our children in the kitchen, doing something as basic as cooking with them. My role within the Dad's Matter group really is to facilitate the meetings. I plan an agenda, which sometimes we stick to and sometimes we don't, and that's absolutely fine. So there's a lot of discussion within the group, a lot of lively discussion.
Do you know how much it cost?
The importance of dads getting involved, it's multifaceted actually, there's a lot to it. Put simply, I think there's some research to show that children spend only 15% of their waking time in school, and only 5% of that is spent in active learning. So in that way, obviously, it's important for all parents to get involved. You know, a lot of learning is happening at home as well.
Right, how many eggs do we need to get? Can you see the number there?
4.
Okay, so we've got 6, but we're going to only use 4, okay? The thing that I get from spending the time with the boys doing cooking and other things is it's also a way of sort of picking up on how much they've learnt and how much they know just by reading text or numbers, or even sharing and interacting with one another between the three of us, and seeing that at the end we've also got an end result, which is always great. Do you want some now?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
I think I'm going to get a gold star because I actually brought my homework in.
Mr. Kipling.
The initial meeting was a bit difficult, but the ice was soon broken. Within, I'd say, half an hour, we were sharing experiences.
The dads group is made up of a variety of many different dads. You get some dads that are office workers, some that are manual workers, some that don't work, that actually stay at home and look after the children.
But we all bounce off each other. You know, every dad's got different experiences that they've had with their children.
That's the actual magic of our meetings. It's a forum. We sit down, we talk about things that we do with our children, personal things that we do with them. He wouldn't eat an apple or an orange, but chop it up, prepare it, peel it, put it in a bowl, and it's magic. When the group first started, I thought that I gave a lot to my sons and daughters, and I was a modern father. But sitting down there with the other dads, sharing their experiences, I've realised that I've got so much more to give.
I cook with the kids all the time anyway, because I'm with them all the time. It's something that we always do. It gives me an opportunity to not only share an experience of others, but also impart my experience as well, because there aren't many guys that are there on a full-time basis at home with the kids. I think most guys get locked into the idea that they have to be sort of like going out there and earning the funds and not being at home with the kids. A lot of people of my age, a lot of black guys of my age, their fathers were very absentee, not just sort of like, you know, from an education point of view, but just from a life point of view. But I've always sort of been proactive with my kids' life, really, as a result of that, because I've always wanted something different for them. I've always felt, I don't know, I suppose something's slightly missing.
I was born in Liverpool, brought up in Liverpool, very tough estate in Toxteth. My dad was very instrumental in my education. He's probably the best teacher I've ever had. My education was disrupted with exclusions and also moving around because my dad was a professional footballer. However, my upbringing was a happy one, and when I talk to children now that I work with, I tell them about my background and my upbringing and the influence of my parents on my upbringing, which has been, I think, instrumental in making me who I am. There's certainly some dads there, I think, who feel, if you like, less important in terms of their partner. They do compare themselves to their partners a lot.
It's taken for granted almost that women are going to do the educating, they're going to sit down and do the homework with their kids, and dads are always sort of like left slightly on the periphery. And that's not always a comfortable feeling. It's not quite the case with me, but I mean, for a lot of the dads there and in the Dads Matter group, that is one of the things that has come out, that a lot of dads feel that they haven't been able to get involved. It's not they didn't want to.
Often the message from the dads is once they get home from work, it's often been, the reading's been done, the children have been fed, it's virtually bedtime, and they can't always break in.
I had a great time, actually. I learnt a lot from my children, believe it or not, because they've obviously cooked with grandma and things like that. And also I got my wife to do a bit of photography. So this picture of us together, look, cheesy picture together.
We try to emphasise the balance between mums and dads in terms of learning styles and attitudes to learning. You know, if you learn in a different way from your wife or your partner, then that's fantastic for your child because they've got two different people to go to.
The thing is, what this group has done, I mean, for me, is I don't, I've always said this before, I mean, before I used to come and I used to feel guilty as a father. Yes. I really did feel guilty. I didn't spend enough time with my children. But what I realised coming here and the time I spent with my children, this is the payback for me that I've achieved, is I don't feel guilty. Yeah, because the time I do spend with my children is quality time.
There's certainly guilt at the fact that we work hard, we spend a lot of hours at work. One of our dads works shifts and he manages to spend every other waking hour with his little boy. And I think that's incredibly admirable. And what the message is, any time with your child is good time.
I work for Carlsberg. I deliver beer to pubs for a living. Quite a strenuous job on the body anyway, not on the mind. But I enjoy it. Get up early in the mornings. Sometimes early finishes, but not a lot of the time. A typical day is alarm go off at about 4:30, 4:15. I like to put the old alarm on snooze and keep it there for a little while, The tubs that we lug about are not light by any stretch of the imagination. You don't have to be able to run a marathon to do it, but it makes the job a lot easier if you are physically strong.
Ready? Yeah.
I can be finished by 1 o'clock. Or it can go until 6 o'clock at night. It really does depend. But on a Monday and Tuesday is my time to go and get Ryan, my little boy from school, and my little girl's 3 and she's in the nursery, and I get to go and pick her up and stuff like that. So it does free me up in the afternoon to basically do the things that Mum's always done.
This is the homework for this month, and basically it's a gift voucher idea. It's all about trying to step into our children's world that little bit more.
Ryan, I've got this gift voucher and it says, I promise to give you 1 hour of my time this week to do something together and you've got to choose it. So what do you want to do then, Ryan?
Play penalty shootouts, please.
Play penalty shootouts. Okay. I'm going to win now.
No, you're not. I am.
Well, we'll see.
I'll bet you I'll win.
There you go.
Thank you.
Come on in, mister. I'm going to win.
No, you're not.
It's good to spend a bit of time with him. And we can hopefully take that into like his reading and his maths, because if he can spend an hour with me doing a football, and then he might think, oh, well, then I can do an hour of maths, or I can do an hour of something with Dad and what have you. Get out of it. My little girl wanted to play babies, and I haven't quite got round to that yet, but I'm trying to think of how to play babies for an hour.
My older daughter was telling me about school as we were working together, and that wouldn't happen normally. It was because of the activity and we were in close proximity. I very much go along as a dad and contribute as a dad. I have to do the homework, and the dads, I think, welcome me in that respect, the fact that I'm in the same position as them and I'm not coming from top down. She was actually saying, well, in food technology, Dad, we do this. And I was like, okay, good opportunity this to talk about maths, maybe. I know, so always thinking of the core subjects. We have a dad who administrates the group. He organises the meetings.
I get dads to sign up. I talk to them in the playground, tell them what we're doing, how it's going to benefit their kids.
Basically, we're encouraging them to take control of the group themselves. I envisage a time when I can just turn up as Shanine's dad, not Mr. Davis, the head teacher.
The aims of the project really go a lot wider than just these men with their own children. We're actually wanting more men in school, more dads in school, working with children, volunteer readers, working within the classrooms in that way, whenever they can, not necessarily on a regular basis.
Come on. Steve Davis needed someone to do some football coaching. So once a week, I have the whole of Year 4 for an hour and a half. And what started as something that was, I almost dreaded it because I was so fearful of facing 60 children on my own. Today, after a term and a half, I look forward to it. I could take the whole school tomorrow if asked.
Yellows, who's your superhero?
Dads are now present in school. You get dads doing PE, you get dads doing other lessons, art, so on. There will be dads doing cooking as well. And I think it also educates, it gives the children a broader view of what the male role is. It's not only about dad goes to work and dad dishes out discipline.
Well played, Robbie, up the wing.
There are a lot of boys and girls here that haven't got a father. And I think, without even realising it, us being involved not only gives our own children a boost, but it also gives the children without dads a good male role model.
Down the left wing.
Steve is very inspirational and he is the drive behind Dads Matter.
He's got a genuine passion to get the dads in the school. I've never heard of that before in any level of education. You know, when I spoke to my dad and when he was at school, he's never heard of a head teacher actually really willing and wants the dads to come into the school.
You know, we can be moving it into avenues, training and development avenues, whereby we have a group of males who are going to be role models for certain children in our school, because they don't have that at home. They do not have a male guy saying to those boys, it's wrong to behave like that, this is how you behave. This is how you get to be a man. Okay, this is how you grow up and you get to be a decent person, but you get also to be a decent man. A lot of people that I've spoken to in other schools have said, well, you know, how have you done this? We just approach them, we just ask them. We now have 64 dads on an emailing list, and that's because we've gone and we've asked them to be involved. We've told them why it's important, we've explained what we want them to do, and we've invited them in. I think schools have got to start doing that more. I'm not saying schools don't, but we've certainly done a lot of that. I go out every night into the playground and I make sure dads are involved in the conversations I'm having. And I think it is about schools saying, hey, you know, this isn't just a feminised environment, this is for all of us. And unless we all get involved, you know, all our children are not going to achieve.